Welcome to day 6. Today we enter more subtle territory than any of the previous levels. Level 6 is about intuition, the quiet knowing that often registers tension before it becomes visible to anyone. Most people dismiss this signal. Today we learn to take it seriously. Most of us have had this experience. Something feels off in a conversation, a relationship, or a team dynamic. We can't articulate it. There's no specific thing we can point to, just a sense, a feeling. That is not imagination. That is a form of intelligence, pattern recognition operating faster than conscious thought. The body and the unconscious mind are processing signals that the analytical mind hasn't caught up with yet. Intuition is a mode of knowing distinct from rational analysis or emotional reaction. It perceives connections, repetitions, and dynamics that linear thinking can't easily track. And in conflict prevention, it is perhaps the most underused tool available to us. In practice, intuitive signals in the realm of conflict often show up like this. A subtle discomfort in a conversation that you can't immediately name. A sense that something important is being left unsaid, that the real issue is floating somewhere in the room, but nobody is addressing it. A hesitation before a decision, something in you saying, wait. Or simply, this dynamic feels familiar. I've been here before. Something in the pattern is repeating. The book described this as field sensing, a capacity to attend to the atmosphere between people, not just the content of what they're saying, the quality of the space, what is happening under the words. Intuitive awareness requires sufficient space and quiet to detect its more delicate messages, like trying to hear a whisper in a noisy room. We dismiss intuitive signals for understandable reasons. We can't prove them, they're not rational, they might be wrong, and often there's social pressure to respond quickly, to have an answer, and to move on. But the cost of consistently dismissing these signals is quite high. We find ourselves again and again in conflicts that, in retrospect, we sensed coming. The signal was there, we overrode it. Intuitive capacity develops through practice, specifically through moments of deliberate stillness, which is why today's practice is the most internally demanding of the whole challenge. The prevention application here is deceptively simple. It's about asking a question we almost never ask. What am I noticing but not acknowledging? Not what has been said, not what is provable, what is being sensed, what is present in the room but invisible in the words. When we regularly ask this question in our own inner life and sometimes carefully in conversation, we catch things early. We name them while they're still subtle. And attention named early, when it's still a whisper, is definitely easier to address than attention ignored until it becomes a roar. There is also a practice the book calls pattern journaling, noting recurring patterns in your conflicts, the same topics, the same sequences, the same emotional trajectories. Over time, this builds a kind of conflict intelligence and embodied familiarity with your own patterns that sharpens intuitive awareness. Here's today's question. It's worth pausing for this one. Think of a conflict that, in retrospect, you sensed coming. What was the earliest signal, the first thing you noticed, but perhaps dismissed? What would you do differently today? Today's practice is the most inward of the whole challenge. Once today, create 5 minutes of genuine quiet, away from the screens, noise, and tasks. Just sit and breathe and ask yourself one question. Is there anything in my relationships or my environment that I have been noticing but not acknowledging? Don't force an answer. Just ask and listen. Write down whatever arises without editing, without judging whether it's important enough. Just notice. Tomorrow, day 7, the final level, we arrive at the deepest dimension. Level 7 is about something most conflict resolution frameworks never touch. The root of most sustained conflicts. I'll see you there. Peace comes from within.